I've heard some teachers say, well, it's not my job to motivate the kids. Like, the kids need to be motivated on their own. Like, we already have enough going on. That's not my job. What's up, everybody? This is Cecilia Dames with the Game Plan Educational Solutions. And in today's video, we're going to be delving into a really hot topic. And it's a little bit difficult for us to wrap our heads around this, but today, I'm going to be coaching you on how you can actually improve student participation in your online class. Now, if this sounds way too good to be true, it's not, because I know that some of us might be having flashbacks to last spring. You know what I'm talking about, right? But it actually is possible. So if you're excited to learn about this topic, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure you give us a thumbs up. This will actually help move us further up in the algorithm, showing this video to teachers who may be at a loss for how to accomplish this in their online class. Also, make sure to share this with a coworker who might need some advice or some ideas for how to improve their student engagement in their online class. Don't forget to watch to the end of the video, because in the end, I will be providing you with some very valuable information and a very rare opportunity to get some additional support for your online class. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So you may have heard in the passing, and of course I'm not saying that this is all teachers, but some of us that are frustrated at our students' inability to check in or log in or participate in online classes, or they just spend the whole time griping about how they hate online classes. I've heard some teachers say, well, it's not my job to motivate the kids. Like, the kids need to be motivated on their own. Like, we already have enough going on, and that's not my job. Their parents should be motivating them, or they need to get it together. Now, while this does ring true, because to be honest, only we can choose to allow ourselves to be motivated. So our students have to choose to allow themselves to be motivated by anyone or you. While that statement does have some truth to it, we also know that we can leverage the fact that our motivation can be enhanced or persuaded or elevated by someone else. We're going to leverage that to our advantage. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why would we dedicate any amount of energy with all the planning we have to do? Transferring our curriculum to an online format, maybe teaching in two places at the same time, the changes. Trust me, you want to invest in motivating your students and in learning how to do this and do this effectively. And let me tell you why. So first of all, if you invest in motivating your students, you personally, this will affect you. You will be able to stress less while you're teaching this course. Why? Because the kids are going to show up. They're going to engage, which is what you need, right? You can't teach if you don't have a body there to receive the information. So it'll help you stress less. The other thing it'll do is it will create stability for the student. They don't know that they need that. They may not know it. They might just know that they need things to be normal, and that's it, right? And depending on their grade level, they may not have a clue as to what needs they have as human beings. But what you're doing by enticing your students to motivate and participate in class is basically creating stability in their life. When you take time to find strategies to motivate your class, you're inadvertently showing your students that you care, right? And it's so low key that they don't even perceive that you're winning over their affection, right? It just happens so subtly, but it is a really powerful tool to keep your students coming back. You also want to make sure that you take the time to engage your students, make that effort to engage your students and to motivate them, because it is actually a way of supporting parents. If parents see that you are trying your best to motivate their child, if they see that you have all this going on, that's exciting, that's interesting, I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, they're going to be more willing and more amenable to being supportive, right? Because those of y'all that are parents, bless your hearts. You are at home with your kids 24/7. And, some folks are, are in essential categories and they have to keep working and the world has to keep rolling. And so, our parents, the fact that they want to reopen schools, I think is also just for the sake of so many parents that find themselves in that tough situation, right? What I do with my kid all this time. So I digress. You also want to make sure that you engage your students, or try to engage with your students, because when you motivate your students, their desire to engage and participate in class increases, which again, if their motivation and participation increases, their learning will also be affected, right? Positively affected. So it's worth the while, it's worth the energy getting your students involved, motivating them to show up, and motivating them to participate. If you like what you're hearing so far, if you know where I'm coming from, make sure you comment below and let me know that you can relate, or hit yes. Comment yes below if you can relate or you understand where I'm coming from. By the end of this video, I will be showing you 5 different ways that you can motivate your class, 5 different strategies that you can use to motivate your class to participate in your online course. Now, we're actually going to borrow a strategy that content creators use. We're talking like TikTok and Instagram and what the heck, even YouTube. Creators use to actually engage their audience. Because guess what? Here's the weird part. We have so many of our youth that willingly turn on their computer, turn on their device to tune into these content creators, these guides, these, dare I say it, teachers in a way, influencers, and they're able to motivate people to show up to their page time and time again. These people are not getting paid. There's not always an incentive in it for them. They're not always doing giveaways necessarily. So they have a method for keeping people coming back. We, y'all, are going to take this strategy and apply it into our own class, our own online class. So what do content creators have that keep people coming back? Well, first, create interest for their audience, right? So by the end of this session, I will show you different ways that you can create interest for your audience. 2, they bring relevant and relatable content. So if there's something that you can associate with, or if that person feels a connection with you, they will keep coming back to your page, just like students, right? And 3, you want to be dependable. The reason why these creators have an audience that keeps coming back continuously without having to be told all the time is because they know that on certain day or every day, this person has new, fresh content that is relatable to them, that sparks their interest, right? So if they can see that you have something that's interesting, if you are relatable and relevant, and if you are dependable, then you will have an audience. So let's delve into those 5 strategies and see how we can apply this overarching concept, how we can apply this concept of content creators into our own classroom. So the first strategy that I have is you want to learn students' names and interests. So being that we're going to have some students in an online setting, you want to make sure, even if you have to quiz yourself with flashcards, just like you would in an actual school year, you want to make sure that you learn students' names, and that depending on what your district or your campus uses, most class records include a child's photo. Now, unless they underwent a serious transformation from one year to the next, which sometimes happens, from their picture, try to put the face with the name so that when they log in, when they sign in to your live sessions, you can actually greet them by name when you see them. That is going to go a long way with the class. Like, wow, this teacher actually took the time to learn my name, right? To put a face with a name, or to ask me to please show them the pronunciation for my name. Because again, we're trying to create a more inclusive classroom. You want to make sure that you say your students' names correctly, right? That is also going to go a long way. You also want to learn about your students. So that might mean an interest survey, icebreaker activities on the weekly, etc. Because again, remember, we're divided by a computer screen. So icebreakers and team building things and little activities like that need to be constant and ongoing, right? Because this won't be like our classroom where we might have them every day and we can see them and learn about them and, observe them in action. So, okay, so the second thing you want to do is be thoughtful. So I know that on our school records, we have access to our students' birthdays. We have access to some information. So what we want to do is whatever interest, info, details we can access about our students, try to use that to create some thoughtful details for your class. So for example, one of the things that I would always do, this was in my in-person classes, but there's still ways that you can apply this to your online class. So I actually kept a chart where on a specific student's birthday, or whenever their birthday, whatever day their birthday happened to be, I would do like a special incentive for them. I also, at the end of the month, I would buy cupcakes for all my birthday babies. So if all my birthdays in March, they would get their cupcake in March, at the end of March. So I know this is a little bit more challenging for students that if you're a teacher in the secondary level, you're going to have a good number of students. But if you're in the elementary level, this might be a cool little detail. Have cupcakes delivered to their house, or send their parent a voucher for it, or I don't know, something to that extent. Or even just have it automated if there's a local bakery and be like, hey, these are all my students' birthdays. Can you see about getting that delivered to them? Now, if budgeting if it's not possible because of budgets, because let's be honest, that sometimes plays an important factor in creating an incentive-driven classroom. Another alternative, or something else that I did for my online class when, again, I teach secondary students, so I would have a lot of cupcakes to send out. So it wasn't a possibility. What I would do is I would actually send them or post for them a birthday song from YouTube. And so when I would do the live sessions, I would play them the birthday song. So that was something that I would do. The other thing that you can do, again, thoughtful things, I used to do this thing called Happy Mail. And basically anytime that I observe something, or I learned something about my student or my class, or something that reminded me of my student, I would actually write them a handwritten letter. It's time consuming, but remember, it's worth the investment. And I would deliver these to the students, again, at a distance. You can just mail them through the school. And I can't tell you how much they appreciated the fact that I took the time to write these letters. So anytime that you engage in a conversation, anytime that you hear about something that they did, or something that they were proud of, or just anything that you pick up, you can turn that into a Happy Mail letter. And I know the name sounds kind of dorky, but the students love it. Like, there has not been one student that it hasn't worked for. And I got to tell you, I've had parents and other teachers tell me that these students may have had their binders and their notebooks a total mess, or they may have lost half of their assignments the whole school year, but I would see their Happy Mail like safely tucked into their backpack pocket or somewhere where it just was not getting thrown out. Parents had told me that their child had like push pinned that right into the wall, like, made like a little display for it. It's worth the investment, doesn't cost too much money, it's just a letter. So that's number 2. Number 3, create an incentive-driven classroom. Now, I've always told myself that there's 2 ways of doing everything, right? You can do things the hard way, or you can do things the easy way. As a teacher, I can tell you that our paycheck doesn't facilitate for us to be spending money all the time. I know that we do it anyway because we love these children and we want them to have the best experience possible, even if that's just while they're with us. And for that reason, I made it a point to do like an incentive day once every reporting period. And I would invest a lot in creating incentives for my class, because I learned that even if it costs me money to motivate my students, the outcome that I get from that investment definitely outweighs the cost, right? Because if I stress less, I can make my paycheck with a lot less trouble, at least when it comes to behavioral concerns. So I highly suggest you create an incentive-driven classroom. Now, this could be anything from, again, depending on your class size, it may or may not be a possibility, but you can literally send little snacks or gift cards for participation. Or maybe you can have, students who show up to live sessions, they get 1 point every time they show up, or, they collect virtual coins or something to that extent to where they can earn an incentive for participating. So you can do something like that. But I gotta tell you, just the fact that you're putting in the effort to provide some sort of incentive really goes a long way with the class. And the only way that a small incentive works in a big way is if you hype it up hardcore. We're talking like put all the energy, put everything on the grill and really sell it, right? If you sell it, if you get all hyped up, if you're all excited, your energy is transferable, let me tell you. So if you're hyped up about this incentive, I've had people get excited for a bag of gummy bears, okay? It's just how you sell it. So incentives, create an incentive-driven classroom to help motivate your students. All right, so tip number 4. Tip number 4 is share and be vulnerable. The reason why these influencers, the reason why all these social media personalities are so relatable and why they create interest is because they share a lot of themselves, right? And of course, I'm not telling you to go on and share all your personal life. I'm just saying it's okay to show students that you geek out over Star Wars or whatever, your particular interest is. To be honest, like to a student, it doesn't even matter that it's not the exact same interest that they have. What they want to see is that in the same way that they're passionate about something, you're passionate about something too, right? So you never know. One of those things might actually happen to be something that they're interested in. And just with that, you'll be able to create a connection with your class. So the more we share and the more we are vulnerable with our class, I feel like we validate some of the same feelings that they're feeling. We give them a safe space. And again, we create that relatability. And when we do that, we're inadvertently creating interest for our student to keep coming back to class. So one of the things that I would do, when teaching is once a week. And again, if you're in an elementary grade level, you might end up doing this every single day because of your class size. But I know for secondary level, I would check in with my students at least once a week, and we would do a segment called Good Things. So basically it's like, hey, share out, even though the world was falling apart, what good things do we have to celebrate? You know, so it's like gratitude, right? I'm coaching my students on mindfulness because our students don't have that skill. We don't teach mindfulness necessarily in school. So I feel like they're looking to us for that guidance. I feel like, you know, students have never gotten to see us like ever in most of our teaching careers, right? Unless we were around for the Spanish flu. They've not gotten to see us in this kind of environment where we can be, you know, raw and honest and seen as a human being and not just, oh, you're just my teacher, right? This is a great opportunity to connect with your class. So you want to leverage that as much as you can. Number 5, okay? The 5th thing you can do to create interest and create reliability and dependability and relevancy in your class is to set expectations and routines. Now, the reason why I didn't start with number 5 as number 1 is because you do want to set routines and expectations from the start of your course, but you want the creation of this motivation, of this relationship with your class to be so seamless that they don't feel like it's part of the expectation. But you don't want it to feel forced at any point, right? Because then it just kills that vibe, that selling point, that hype. When you realize, oh, we're doing this also because, well, we have to do it. Don't break the mystique of what you're trying to create. Do you get what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm talking about, drop in the comments below and do a little hands up emoji for me. So since there are a lot of changes that are forthcoming, I wanted to share with you a program that I actually created. It's a seminar on digital classroom management, and it is available right now for free. So because this program is in beta form, I am only accepting a limited amount of participants. So if you're interested in creating a great online experience for students, for parents, and most importantly for yourself, I highly encourage you to click the link below and check out that training. Again, my style is short, concise, and to the point. It does include materials and guides that you might need to help you brainstorm what you want your online class structure to look like or be like or flow like. And again, it's completely free to enroll, but there are a limited amount of seats. So if you're interested, you need to be one of the first ones to check that out. Also, don't forget to screenshot this video and tag me on your Instagram story for a chance to win coffee on me at the end of this month. So I hope that this video was of use to you. I hope that it gave you an idea of how you can seamlessly motivate your class. I hope you understand that by motivating our class, we are inadvertently investing in ourselves. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you know exactly when our next video drops. Because in our next video, we're going to be talking about setting up for the first day of online class. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you like us across all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, for an opportunity to interact. Don't forget to comment below, and don't forget to share that screenshot on your IG stories and tag us. Until next time, class dismissed.